Good morning, friends. Paul Green here, Comedian's Commute. It's Thursday, April 16th, and I am back to my normal commute after driving into Scottsdale yesterday to film to be on the radio, which was a lot of fun with 99.1 Wow FM. So I've been working on my set for tomorrow night's show. I've been looking forward to it. Kind of had this epiphany recently about really the difference between successful people and people who don't seem to obtain success. And just one thought I had, and this applies to comedy, is it really doesn't, it's not that successful people are just always successful, because that's just not the case. But it seems to me that people who become successful, it's mostly because they actually have failed a lot more than maybe people who don't obtain a certain degree of success are willing to fail. And I was thinking about this as I was going over my set, because there's a certain amount of fear of failure whenever you're writing a joke. You're on stage, you say a joke, there's always that chance that nobody in the audience thinks it's funny, and you're just standing up there holding a microphone and you hear the crickets. There's that fear and anxiety. And just the possibility of that, just the notion of that, I think is enough for so many people to not even try. And I was thinking about that as I was writing jokes, about how that applies in other aspects of life, career, relationships, this idea that you could really try something, you could go for something, and you might totally fail. However, I don't think that it's a matter of people who are successful that they went out and tried and hit it out of the ballpark. Matter of fact, again, I don't really have any data about this. This is just my own thoughts, but it seems that actually people who are successful, it's actually because they went out and failed, and they failed so many times, and they just didn't, either they didn't care, or not that they didn't care, but they just were like, all right, well, that didn't go well, I'll go try it again. And it's through that process of being willing to fail at something but keep going that ultimately allows them to become more and more successful. So I just kind of thought about this and kind of put together this little formula, which is the only difference between successful people and failure is successful people fail far more often than failures. And that is the process by which they are able to obtain whatever modicum of success it is that we are discussing in kind of this nebulous philosophizing that I'm spitting at you. So I again had that thought last night as I'm pouring through my set, and I'm thinking to myself, I want these jokes to be funny, and I want people to enjoy them, but underneath all of that, the reason I'm so invested in that, because there's this other side of it, which is I'm really afraid to fail. I really don't want to get on stage and not be funny, or say something stupid, or say a joke that people don't get, or say a joke that people are offended by, or forget my punchline or whatever. And that fear of failure could inhibit me to the point to where I don't even want to go on stage at all. And I've definitely had those moments before. I've had those moments of, man, I'd rather just not get up there and put myself in that situation to be ridiculed. I had that feeling when before I even started this vlog a few weeks ago. I had the idea, I was like, I should put a daily YouTube video out there. It'd be fun. I could do it on my way to work. Be nice and simple. Sure, my insurance agent will probably freak out because I'm filming while driving, but nonetheless, I should do that. But that first morning when I was actually like, okay, I'm going to do this, I just had that anxiety again of like, what am I doing? Why am I putting a video out there? Nobody cares. You know, people are going to leave negative comments on the video and blah, 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 blah. And again, that just seemed to be a little bit of a pattern for, I think, what hinders so many people from trying so many different things, whether it's, you know, starting a new business, going for a new relationship, trying to change jobs, fulfilling whatever their dreams are, just that unwillingness to fail at something. However, the only way to be successful at it is to fail a ton at it. And so it's just kind of this this dichotomy that, or this paradox or whatever. It's a lot of big words. I don't know what any of them mean. But yeah, so it's not a matter of being willing to succeed. It's a matter of being okay with the fact that actually most likely you will fail. There will be lots of failures. There will be, I've done stand-up shows that did not go well. I've delivered jokes and a punchline and had nobody in the audience laugh. And I've had those experiences, and they are not pleasant and they are not fun. So you have two choices, which is I can either stop telling jokes because that was really painful and I don't ever want to experience that again, or I can look at that and say, okay, well, that joke didn't work. Why didn't it work? I'm going to go rewrite that joke and I'm going to try it again. And then what happens if nobody laughs at that time? Well, obviously, then that joke wasn't funny, so I need to go rewrite that joke again. I mean, pretty much every professional comedian that you know of now has some sort of story about how they totally bombed. Jim Carrey was booed off stage. Jerry Seinfeld was booed off stage. Jim Carrey auditioned for Saturday Night Live and didn't get hired by Saturday Night Live. Steve Carell applied for or auditioned for Saturday Night Live. I think Stephen Colbert. I'm not sure about that fact. You can do some fact checking on me, but the principle is still the same, that these were very highly talented actors or who had a lot of talent within them, but it took failure. It took going on stage and bombing, and it took them being okay with the fact that they've had that extremely negative experience and that they're just going to turn around and go back on stage again and say more jokes. Be like, well, last time I did this, I got booed off stage, so let's go do it again. So I've been trying to maintain that perspective as I'm an up-and-coming comedian, and that is, not everything's going to go well. I'm going to fail. I'm going to say things that aren't funny. I'm going to have audiences that don't appreciate my humor or my set. I'm going to have people who think my Comedians Commute video blog is stupid or whatever, and I'm going to have lots of failures. And as long as I'm willing to fail a ton and keep failing, one day that'll become successful. One day it'll turn around because I've been willing to fail more than other people are willing to fail. So those have been the thoughts on my mind. Sorry for getting a little preachy there, but that kept coming to my mind. I wanted to share those thoughts with you on my Comedians Commute this morning as I've been poring over my set. I do have pretty much my set written out, what I want it to be. The goal for me now is going to be to rehearse the set as many times so that I don't have to think about it. I want it so ingrained in my mind that I'm not thinking about it. It's just like riding a bike, and then that will allow me the freedom and flexibility to really be in the moment and to be able to respond to the crowd, to be able to interact with them. I find that if I go into a stand-up comedy routine and I'm not really prepared, like I'm having to think about things, that I have a tendency to be a little removed from the moment, and there's a little bit higher anxiety, and I think that anxiety separates me from my audience. And it's really about the audience. It's about connecting with the audience. Yeah, you have this rehearsed material, but when you listen to stand-up comedians, it doesn't sound like they're rehearsing material. It sounds like they're just talking. It's so natural, but that natural feeling comes from them rehearsing that material so much that it's just second nature. They don't have to think about it, even though they've actually thought about it quite a lot. So I want to do that a lot before tomorrow night. I don't have any like tons of new material. I have newer material. Everything that I'm doing tomorrow night, to some degree, I have done before, although I have revamped a handful of my previous jokes to make them a little bit more punchy, and just to try to see where I could go with them further. And so there's been a little bit of that fear in that regard, because I'm kind of straying from the true and tested method in the hopes that it will be better. Which again, kind of goes back to what I was talking about, with the whole default. We have kind of that default comfort level. Like, I have a certain comfort level with the jokes that I've already told. I know about how funny they are, and so now I could either just tell them again and know, like, okay, this will more or less get a laugh, even though sometimes I feel like there's more, but there's that fear again that I could try to rewrite the joke and then that will make it less funny. And so I'm trying to silence those fears, take my existing material, work on it, and then go out and try to deliver it a little differently and put a little bit more umph in it, and hopefully it won't fail. But if it does, then I will be able to go, okay, it doesn't work that way. I failed at it that way. Now I can try it a different way until ultimately all of my jokes I know I'm telling in the most effective, the most funny way. And that will allow me to be the most impactful and successful comedian. So those are my thoughts. I'm looking forward to tomorrow night, April 17th, Tempe Center for the Arts. And it's going to be a lot of fun. And I am now at work. Thank you so much for listening. This has been Paul Green, comedianscommute.com and paulgreencomedy.com. Have a great day.